Hello and welcome to Ani's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Devil's Chimney. Holly Arnold had always loved the rugged beauty of the Isle of Wight, with its windswept cliffs and hidden coves. As an amateur geologist, she spent countless weekends exploring the island's natural wonders. But nothing fascinated her more than the Devil's Chimney, a narrow cleft in the rock hidden deep within a secluded woodland. Local legend claimed it was a passage to hell itself, a portal through which malevolent spirits could pass into the mortal world. Holly dismissed such tales as fanciful nonsense until the day she ventured into the chimney alone. The discovery. The autumn air was crisp, and fallen leaves crunched underfoot as Holly followed the faint trail through the woods. The Devil's Chimney wasn't easy to find. It was a place you had to know about, whispered among locals as a place best avoided. But Holly's curiosity had been piqued by an old map she discovered in a dusty antique shop. It marked the chimney with an ominous symbol and the words, "Beware the threshold." When she reached the site, the chimney was even narrower than she'd imagined, its walls slick with moss and moisture. A faint, unnatural chill emanated from the fissure, making her shiver despite the sunny day. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, Holly squeezed into the dark crevice. At first, it seemed like any other geological formation. She marveled at the striations in the rock, recording her observations in a brisk, professional shorthand. But as she ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and the walls seemed to close in, pressing against her like a living thing. Her flashlight flickered, then dimmed. "It damn batteries," she muttered. That's when she heard it, a faint whisper, like wind through the trees, but there was no wind down here. The sound grew louder, resolving into words spoken in a language she didn't recognize. Panic flared, but Holly forced herself to stay calm. She turned to leave, only to find the entrance obscured by darkness far denser than it should have been. The first encounter. A sudden weight pressed against her chest, forcing her to her knees. Holly gasped, clutching at the rock walls. The whispers turned into a cacophony, and out of the shadows stepped a figure. Its form was vaguely human, but its eyes glowed like embers, and its mouth twisted in a grin that was too wide, too sharp. "Who dares disturb the threshold?" the figure hissed. I didn't mean to disturb anything," Holly stammered. The entity laughed, a sound that echoed unnaturally. "The rocks are a veil, child. This is a doorway." Holly scrambled backward, but the chimney's narrow walls offered no escape. The figure extended a clawed hand, and Holly felt an icy grip around her throat. Just as she thought she might black out, the entity released her. "You have one chance." It closed the portal. The research. Back in her cottage, Holly pored over every book and article she could find on the Devil's Chimney. The legends were vague but consistent. It was a place of summoning, a natural conduit between realms. In most accounts, those who ventured too close never returned. Desperate for answers, Holly visited a local historian, Mrs. Agnes Cartwright, who lived in a ranchical house filled with dusty tomes and occult artifacts. When Holly mentioned the chimney, Agnes paled. "You fool. Do you know what you've done? That place has been sealed for centuries. If it's been disturbed, the entities will come through?" Holly asked. Agnes retrieved a leather-bound book and flipped to a page filled with arcane symbols. "You'll need to perform a ritual. It's dangerous, but it's the only way." The ritual. Holly arrived at the chimney as the clock struck 12, armed with a lantern, the book, and a bag of salt, a common protective measure in folklore. The forest was eerily silent, and a dense fog had rolled in, muffling her footsteps. Inside the chimney, the air was heavier than before, almost suffocating. She traced a protective circle of salt around herself and began to chant the incantation. The words felt strange on her tongue, as if they resisted being spoken. The temperature plummeted, and the walls of the chimney seemed to pulse. Shadows coalesced into grotesque shapes, writhing and clawing at the edges of her salt circle. Holly's voice shook, but she forced herself to continue. The ground trembled, and a deafening roar echoed through the fissure. The entity she'd encountered earlier appeared, its form even more monstrous. "You dare defy us?" "Leave this world," Holly shouted. The creature lunged, but the salt held firm. With a final, desperate cry, Holly completed the incantation. The portal's energy surged, pulling the entity back into the void. The chimney's walls began to collapse, and Holly barely escaped as the passage sealed itself with a thunderous crash. The aftermath. For weeks, Holly avoided the woods, plagued by nightmares of the chimney and the entity within. But the island's strange occurrences seemed to cease, and the locals spoke of a newfound peace. Holly knew she had done something extraordinary, but the cost weighed heavily on her. The devil's chimney might be sealed, but she could still hear its whispers in her dreams, reminding her that some doors, once opened, are never truly closed. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had a great day.